Well, if you're new here, welcome to the Peanut Butter and Pickle podcast where Joe and I just talk about stuff. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, man. This is a podcast I'd want to listen to. Sounds exhilarating.
We talk about anything and everything. Air grievances.
Yeah, mostly like bathroom, toilet etiquette,
Mostly.
food.
That's not definitely
embarrassing
food.
moments.
A lot of my embarrassing moments.
Yeah, we cover a lot of that stuff. Oh, if you're going to ask me what I want to talk about, I already have something prepared, boss.
Oh, good.
You don't know. In case you guys haven't figured it out, maybe this is your first time tuning in. We have fun on this podcast. And I think the only way that we're able to have fun is that nothing is rehearsed or staged. Like we don't talk about the podcast at all. The only thing that we do is I either mentally or I might jot on my phone a couple things that I want to talk about. She probably does the same, but I never have a clue what she is thinking of or is going to talk about. And vice versa. She does not know what I'm about to talk about. And that to me is what makes it fun is we get to hit record and just have a conversation. We don't know where it's going.
Yeah. And I never know what you're going to say. It's just like real life.
It's dangerous. You never know what I'm going to say. But here's what I'll say. I'll just start with it. I want to talk about retired phrases. And I'm going to read a list of retired phrases from the 80s and 90s, maybe the early aughts, but specifically the 90s, which is my generation. I was a very little kid, and I said a lot of these. And I would love for you to pick maybe one or two that you think we need to resurrect and bring back.
Ooh, okay.
Okay, so these are ones that have kind of fallen by the wayside.
Okay.
And in no particular order, some of these are going to be from 90s sitcoms such as Full House, maybe Step by Step.
And before we even go,
Yeah.
I've probably seen 5 episodes of The Full House.
How dare
I don't know
you?
that I've ever seen Step by Step.
What?
Again, homeschooled.
You couldn't watch Full House? It is the most wholesome.
We didn't have cable.
Okay.
Like, we had the basic channels with bunny ears.
Yeah.
So if I ever saw any of these shows, it was probably because I was at a sleepover at a friend's house.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
Full
go
House
for
can
it.
definitely get a little racy. Jesse and the Rippers is pretty.
What is that? A band?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. I know who Uncle
John
Jesse is.
Stamos, Uncle Jesse was the cool Greek rock god.
Mhm.
That was like who he was. And he was Jesse and the Rippers. And they had a really bad, really lame and cheesy 90s kind of hair band.
That's fun.
I don't really remember. I just remember it was Jesse and the Rippers. And then you had the comedian Joey Gladstone. I think, was that his name?
Well, and I know that he had like a puppet, like a beaver that he did a voice for. I remember that from a video that I watched.
Yeah. And I really didn't think anything of it as a kid, but it is a little strange. I don't understand the relationship. I think one of them was blood. Maybe Jesse was blood uncle, but one of them was not.
Well, I feel like if he's standalone from the show as a Greek character, then maybe he's not blood.
Is it? Okay, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's
because I mean, if
Joey?
the main family's name is Tanner, then it's not. That's not a very Greek
Could
name.
have been the mom's side. I don't know. That's not what we're talking about. But a few of these phrases have maybe made their way.
Are these like famous catchphrases from the show that I should recognize if I was a normal person?
All right. Let me just read this list because I don't know. So the first thing I'll say is actually not on the list. It's no duh. I think that came out of, I don't know. Melody, do people still say no duh?
Not really.
Okay.
I didn't think so.
We're going to add that to the list. That was not actually on the list, but I am pretty sure little Tanner, the twins, the Olsen twins, would hit you with some no duhs.
Mary-Kate and Ashley?
Yeah.
Love them.
Okay. So retired phrases. Talk to the hand, not to the face.
That's a great phrase.
When is the last time you've said that?
I probably said that to the kids once in the last 13 years, just as like a joke. But but I used to say that in the 90s.
That's a good one. That's a sassy one.
Yeah.
And even the way they would do it, like talk to the hand, not to the face. I feel like a lot of ladies said that. I'm sure guys did too.
It was really more of...
I remember a lady just like talk to the hand, not to the face, and kind of having a little head bob. Like it was a very sassy move.
It was. And it would be like, talk to the hand because the face ain't listening.
Oh, that's
and
another.
And you kind of like do your,
I think that was
your
an
side
expansion.
to side, you know.
That's correct.
And the hand had to go out. Yeah.
Got to throw the hand. Okay. This is another good one. As if.
That's from Clueless.
That's right.
Cher from Clueless. As if.
As if. So,
Yeah.
okay. Also sassy, but more
I
of
love
like
that.
more of a preppy Valley girl kind of as if.
Mm-hmm.
Mel, have you been hit with an as if? Feel free to chime in on these because these are references you might not.
All of these they feel so familiar, like I have been told them a million times before, but when I really think about that, no one has said this.
Yeah, that's my question. Your
in
peers.
the last forever.
Okay.
Can I hit you with a OBS fun fact about Clueless? It's actually a Jane Austen.
What?
It's based on Jane Austen's story, Emma. Go ahead. What's your next phrase?
Oh, I can't believe you brought this up. All right, OBS, for those of you who don't know, this is Kate's go-to. It is old British
shows
stuff. OBS. And it's always running and every show is the same. So if you ask me, hey, which one is this? It's always Downton Abbey, even if it's not, because they're all the same and they all look like that and they all sound like that. And all of the wardrobe is the same. All of the soppy music and it's all the same. And the more I think about your OBS addiction, all OBS is Fast and the Furious for women. Prove me wrong.
Oh my
Fast and the Furious is something for bros who like fast cars and like big muscles or whatever. I don't know. I'm not into the franchise, but they've made like 15 of them and they're all the same. And, and if you hopped in one, you would be, is this number 2? Is this 7? Is this 15? So I think all your OBS is Fast and Furious for women. And I don't know that you can prove me wrong on that.
All right. I feel like that's a good thing we should jump into sometime.
Moving on.
Okay. Next phrase.
Cool beans.
That's my brother's favorite phrase.
Yep. I say that so much.
That's a said.
No one else says that though.
I like this though.
I get made fun of for saying that, but I don't care.
What gave Cool Beans longevity? Because it's kind of, I don't really like cool beans. I like warm beans or hot beans. Why are we still talking about cool beans? What are cool beans?
But there also is a really cute kids book series based on kind of phrases like this, like the good egg and cool beans. And so it teaches kids kind of like what's the thing with the stories? At the end of the story, it has a lesson. What is that called? There's a word for that. Anyway.
Moral.
Thank you. Those little phrases get turned into these really cute kid stories and they all have a moral at the end. But there is one about cool beans that I read to our littlest at a bedtime story a few weeks ago.
It's the only thing that works. If you added any other type of bean or the temperature of a bean, it just doesn't work. Because like cool beans means Roger that, I got you, no problem. But if you were like hot beans, that feels weird, right? If you're like warm beans, if you were like lima beans, pinto beans,
let's go.
Refried beans, any other beans is so silly. Even if you just said beans.
Mixed beans.
You're just like beans. Like, excuse me? But cool beans.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. Like, I want.
It's strange that it still works.
Of cool beans?
I don't know, and it's still here to this day. Here's another one: Da Bomb.
Oh my!
I don't know.
And then you have the branch.
Fully gone.
DaBomb.com was a branch off of that. Man, Mel, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Da Bomb. When someone says like that's Da Bomb, DA.
How young do you think I am? Like, I know what that means.
Well, this is very much like, 90s, early aughts. Da Bomb was around. And Da Bomb Insanity hot sauce, made famous on Hot Ones. I've had that more times than I should have, and it is awful.
So along the lines of Da Bomb, I've heard that the kids these days are saying just LeBron.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know what it means.
Instead of Da Bomb,
yeah.
And it kind of rhymes, but it just is like LeBron, like he's good at that. Or they're legit, I think.
Is that why they say that?
I think it means like, that's cool or that's legit.
I don't know.
I sound so old.
I don't know. You are. So
I am.
I'm Audi.
Audi 5000.
The Audi 5000 is what I used to say to my friends. Yep.
You made it rhyme?
Yeah, because I'm cool.
Audi 5000.
That's one that I don't recognize.
Yeah, Audi. I'm Audi. I'm Audi 5000. Yeah. That's so funny.
It's so random.
It's so random. Yeah, that is definitely like bleach blonde tips energy from the 90s. I'm out Audi 5000. And then I would always I would also say late, like getting off a call. Late. I think it was
Ew.
I think it went from
that I don't like.
I think it went from later.
Correct.
It was like, see you later. to just like, all right, man, late. That's
You
what we would
did?
say. Yeah, trying to be cool. That when you got off your phone with your friend, you can't be like, yeah, all right, bro.
Bye bye.
Yeah, yeah, I'll meet you at the mall. Bye bye. So you got to have something that's like cool and masculine. So
Late.
it went from like later, bro, to like later to just late. So I did that. I said that for years, but I haven't hit
Oh my
anybody with the
gosh.
late.
That's amazing.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should
Don't bring that one
bring
back.
that one back.
That feels very Vin Diesel-y.
Booyah.
No.
Melody's laughing at that
Okay,
one.
booyah sounds like something Jar Jar Binks said
Yeah.
in the Star Wars like prequels.
Yeah.
And that was not a great character. And but
Mhm.
that's exactly who I think of when I think of booyah.
I think it's a celebratory phrase of like I'm playing basketball with someone and I just scored on them. Booyah.
I know,
In your
but it's
face
just not.
is a booyah.
It is.
All right.
It is.
Melody she really
It's
liked
like,
that one.
Misa scored on you,
All right,
booyah.
I have two more. If you want to add to this, that's fine. These are just ones that I've been collecting this list on my phone for weeks of like, I'll just think of a phrase like, I'm going to capture that. Chillax. Just chillaxing.
Chillaxin'.
I kind of missed that one. Melody, have you heard chillaxing?
No, and I don't want it to come back. I hate it so much.
She hates
It's
it.
not a great
so
one.
much. I like
chill and relax, and so you get the chillax.
I like chillax.
Mm,
All right, very last
it
one.
feels like a denim cargo short.
And this one might
chillax.
just be me. I don't believe this one made an appearance on any 90s sitcoms and probably not in homeschools around the nation in the
Probably
90s.
not.
Butt ton.
Oh, a butt ton.
Yeah, the phrase butt ton. Melody liked that one too.
Like
Or buttload.
a butt ton of ice cream. Like
Just a butt ton. Now, see, butt load, I've always thought it was boatload.
But
like
people
a shipment,
say
yeah, a boatload,
buttload
buttload.
and butt ton.
Yeah.
And I think that it's boatload as well. And I never was.
I think it's boatload, but
I was
butt
never
ton,
saying
it's a
butt
butt
ton.
ton.
when I was younger, I would say buttload, and y'all got so mad at me for no reason.
Well,
Well,
and
it's
you
just
were like,
very
now
like
it's
crass
boatload.
phrase for such a
For
beautiful-
a child. Yeah.
beautiful, lovely young lady to
Yeah.
say when she's only 6 or 7.
So that's my list. Out of these, talk to the hand, not to the face, as if cool beans, duh, the bomb, I'm outie 5,000, late, booyah, chillax, and butt ton. Which one of these needs to make a resurgence?
I just think we'll stick with cool beans.
Cool beans?
But in the 90s,
It's so stupid and silly.
It doesn't sound like it's really left.
we also said whatever.
Yeah,
That was
whatever.
very like
It's how you say it.
millennial.
Because the word, it's like, we still say that, like, oh, whatever.
right.
But it's,
But it was the Valley Girl
Whatever.
of whatever. We would do
Mhm.
that. And then also in the millennial, when all my friends started to get cars, I don't know if this was just us. This was when I went to public school. Okay.
Mhm.
We were old enough to have our cars. People would begin to describe their cars by how many babies long or how many babies wide,
gross. What?
like a baby length.
What?
It was
Not all
like,
babies are the same length.
I know,
or
but it
weight.
was like this general, like this long is a baby. And so you'd say, yeah, my trunk can fit like 5 babies across. And people would do that. Now, I didn't have a car,
That is-
so I'm not measuring my cars in baby lengths. But the kids I went to school with began, like that was a thing that
Dude,
they
you
would
should
describe.
You should check in on those people.
Oh, I haven't talked to them in 20 years. So,
Because they're probably in prison. I've never heard of any
and then
using the metric of a baby.
they thought it was
baby length.
hysterical. They'd be like, yeah, it's 5 babies long. And
I
so
don't
that
like
like a
that at
baby's
all.
like this long.
Like a foot long.
A little bit more. And like a baby is kind of like our kids were like 21 inches, so it's longer than a foot.
Well, you were making the hand of like a nice sub sandwich, which would be like a foot long.
I'm not very good at
It's
estimating.
like 2 subs.
Again, I didn't participate in the baby measuring.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a thing that they did in the
I don't
millennium.
think that was nationwide. I think that was a very distinct
I also
region of
am
the country.
quite a bit younger than you.
And that feels very homeschooled too.
It was at
Measuring
public
things
school.
in babies. And it makes sense though in homeschool because like a lot of homeschool families
so many
have
babies.
many babies. So you have enough babies running around.
So they
and just
know.
everything is measured in babies.
They know.
Yeah, it's like I got a new big screen TV. It's 4.5 babies wide.
How long's this house going to take you to raise? Oh, less than it takes to grow a baby.
No, I think you just messed that one up. No, that doesn't work anymore.
Um,
So another thing that we do from time to time is we'll receive different topics or grievances from. I love how we're just talking
I know. Why are you?
as if
Yeah,
there's
we're
a
just
new
talking, there's
person
new people.
listening. I don't know. You started it.
I did
You
start
introduced
it.
ourselves, which we don't do that. So another thing that we do is we will welcome topics from time to time, either from guest or from our very own producer,
Mhm.
Melly Mix-a-Lot. I'm trying to get a nickname. That
I
one doesn't
hate
work.
that
That's not a
so
vibe.
much.
I don't like that
Do
one.
not
I'm
call me
trying.
that.
That's not a
Cool
vibe.
beans, cool beans. So we do have a segment every now and then. We'll pop in, which is a Mel's mystery topic. Same thing. We don't know what she's about to hit us with. So, Melody, would you care to submit a Mel's mystery topic? You can discuss anything as long as it is appropriate.
All right. This kind of fits in with what we're talking about 80s, 90s, and compared to today, but how parenting styles have changed over the years. Like just recently, I feel like spanking has turned into child abuse. While it used to just be like normal punishment.
Yes.
She has good questions or has good topics. That's a
So,
good one, Melody. So,
How
what was your
parenting has
question? How has
changed.
parenting changed recently or just through the generations? Like,
Through the generations, and
Yeah.
like, do you think it's gotten worse or better?
ooh, that's a
I
great.
mean, considering that at one point child labor was legal in our country, I think it has gotten better.
Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although they do have little hands to get into like the machinery and the parts. Like there was probably a very high value in the cruelty of putting a kid to work. Because
Right.
I'm sure I don't think someone was like, we should put these kids to work. I think it was like, hey, this machine is broken and we've had 8 people try to reach the bolt and nobody can get it. And they're like, hey, Susie, like bring your 3-year-old over here. And that little
Yeah.
kid just like, here you go. And someone's like, ding, ding, ding. Why aren't we putting these kids to work?
Child labor.
Yeah. And then it went to a very dark era.
I know. I feel like children worked in the mines
Mm-hmm.
and now they don't, but they yearn for the mines, right, Mel?
They sadly do in some parts of the world, which needs to be stopped because that is still some bad parenting. But okay, I can't speak to throughout the millennia of like decades and generations of parenting because other than
Maybe just start from the 80s.
I would say, okay, in the 80s, there's 2 things that come to mind. Number one, since you brought it up, is spanking. That was definitely a part of
That was absolutely a part.
the culture.
Mhm.
And I got spanked. And let me just be clear, I deserved every single one of them. And I'll stand on that. I was not a very good kid, not obedient, not kind, did not obey. Like I was a pretty wild child. So I deserved all of the spankings that I got from my mom and dad.
And your teacher.
Yes, we got spanked in school and I definitely got spanked. I just remember one time a kid punched me in the nose at recess and he got spanked and I was outside waiting to go in. I just assumed I was next because I heard him
Sure.
crying in there. So, and this was public school, the principal spanking an elementary student like with a paddle. Bam.
Sounds really homeschooled to me.
Yeah, this is for sure public school. I definitely got spanked. I feel like even the teacher spanked me, but I could be wrong. This is a long time ago. So spanking was happened often. I had the privilege of being raised by not just my grandmother was able to watch me, but her mother, my great grandmother. I remember her. You want to talk about old school?
Did they spank you too?
Oh, I got spanked anywhere I went.
Wait.
And I think I got spanked in every aspect of my life except for church. And that's where I earned spankings was church. I didn't get spanked at church.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to wait till you got home.
Like, the Sunday school teacher would, and when I was like 8, would go to my dad. I got in a fight one time with a kid, and he pushed me, and I chipped my tooth. So I look like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. And this is all fake right here.
Oh,
This
wow.
bonding is held on forever. So I hope one day it doesn't go because anyway.
Anyway.
So situations like that, getting in fights and getting in trouble, they would tell my dad when they would come to pick it up. And he's like, all right, son. And my dad was the best disciplinarian because he never, ever disciplined out of like anger and emotion. That's one thing I'll give my dad is he might have been fuming underneath, but he never disciplined out of anger and emotion. It was just a matter of fact of like, hey, son, you
the
know the
punishment
rules
must fit the crime.
and you broke the rules. And therefore you get one spanking when we get home. And then he would tally it through the day.
Oh my gosh.
Through like Sundays. Because again, I earned every one of these. And then we would go to lunch and I would know that I'm up to 4 because I've earned them. And I would do everything I could to be on my best behavior and be the sweetest son. Like my the level of my politeness in the car. And I mean, people must have viewed me in public and be like, man, what a stand-up kid. Like that's the
Little
example.
did they know that you were just trying to like bide your time because you knew you had 4 spankings coming when you got home.
And it always worked on my mom. So we would get home and my mom would be so sweet. And you could tell she was trying to defend me. And my dad, again, no emotion. He wouldn't even bring it up. But this man would not forget. And then we would get home. We would go into the house. He's like, all right, son. And I'd be so like, what a joyous day, mother, mommy and daddy. And I would just be like,
Hello, Mama.
let me go clean up my room. Is there anything I can do for you? And my dad would be like, could see right through it.
Oh, of course.
And he'd be like, all right, buddy. He's like, you earned 4.
Oh,
and then
no.
I would just get paddled.
And your dad is so tenderhearted. Like that really did have to make him sad to do that.
I think he did pull the whole, like, this hurts me more than you. Or he would say it in different ways. And it did. Like, I was like, whatever, dude. But I think it did. Like, he took no joy in his, and I don't remember my sister ever getting spanked, but I was the bad kid.
No, I guarantee she was probably a perfect angel.
But my grandmother, Mel, you don't even know about this. This is old school, man. I mean, she was like 90 when I was like younger than you.
Your great-grandma?
Great-grandmother.
Yeah.
She is old school. She would, I at least remember one time, had me go pick a switch. Mel, do you know what a switch is?
Oh.
No.
Woo. A switch is a thin, like...
tree branch
that you have to go pick yourself.
Like a bendy one.
And there's no good choice because everything you look at, you're like, that's really big and going to leave a mark. That's really skinny.
Like the smaller it gets, the more it stings.
That's going to have a whip effect.
Exactly.
So you're trying to analyze as a kid, like what's going to be the best. There's
what's
no
going to
great...
be easier, a flogging or a whipping?
Pick your switch and then they'll pull off the little branches on the side. And yeah, so you are picking your own punishment.
And it really, Mel, would hit with a whack.
Whack. Yeah, my parents never did that. They had a paddle. And okay, this is, sorry, Mom and Dad, if you're ever listening to this, you are the greatest parents of all time. And I fully mean that. But we went on a family vacation to Six Flags. I think it was in St. Louis. Could be wrong. Maybe there's not a Six Flags. That's just what I remember. But it was definitely Six Flags. Whilst on vacation.
How many did you rack yourself up every day?
Even worse.
Your dad's like, you're on 15,
that's fine.
day
I'm sure
2, son.
Even worse. We, so our little like take home gift, what do you call that?
What are you talking about?
Like you can get a
souvenir.
Gift. Souvenir.
Okay,
Sorry,
souvenir.
The word escaped me. Our souvenir of the trip is my dad found a really nice, Six Flags St. Louis paddle that he loves so much. He's like, this is a good, you could see him like getting it in his hand. He's like, man, aerodynamically, he loved it. Bought the paddle. So a
Why
family
would they
trip.
sell that?
I'm being such a good kid because everybody whipped their parents. I mean, all parents whip their little kids, and you're just walking around a theme park, and all parents are thinking the same thing. You're like, oh, these kids.
Six Flags knows that these kids are going to act up, and they're like, hey, we could sell a paddle, and these parents do like, when you get home.
Yeah, and it's also to the parents, it's like, hey, you thought this was going to be a beautiful dream trip. You thought you were going to,
oh my gosh,
you were going to escape all of the
whiny,
the stress
naughtiness,
and the whiny at home because your kid's on vacation. And Six Flags knew. It's like, no, you're going to get here, and these kids are going to drive you insane. We got you.
So your dad bought a paddle on vacation.
He bought a paddle on vacation, and I hated that thing.
Oh my gosh.
Because every time you looked at it, it reminded you of joy. Imagine you go to Disney, and there's a big Mickey on the paddle that is now your torture device.
Okay, help me break it down. Was it like a Six Flags themed spatula?
No, it was a wooden paddle. I don't know how to describe it.
What?
It just looked like, yeah, you know that grill scraper that I have? The wooden grill scraper for the smoker? It looked just like that. It said Six Flags.
So weird.
And at one point, I jumped out of the way, like, and they...
Oh, to avoid, like, you tucked your butt?
And they, like, must have hit it on a counter or something, because I, like, jumped out of the way when Dad was trying to get me, and it cracked a little bit. So Dad put duct tape on it. It hurt way more after that. It messed with the aerodynamics. It had a certain crack and a little snap to it after it cracked and then got the duct tape. So it was repaired, but still in use, and it might still be around. Mel, have you ever heard of any of these stories?
I've seen the paddles. They're on top of the fridge.
No way.
I don't think they've ever moved. They don't use them, but
oh my gosh, the next time I'm there, I'm definitely grabbing.
We need to go
those.
see if there's
that's amazing,
a paddle. But then I don't know. I think it just shifted throughout the years, probably in the 2000s. I mean, I'll be clear.
The gentle parenting movement made a big change.
There were always parents
and
that were
always,
like, I'm not going to spank. It's not like every parent did that. I think culturally, like I remember being out in public, you would go to the mall You would go to
Oh yeah, you'd see parents just full on spank their kids wherever they were. Because when I was a kid, when we would go to a mall, our rule was you keep your hands to yourself. If you touch something, that hand gets slapped.
Mm.
So we knew that like if you touched a little shiny doohickey over here with your left hand, that hand was going to get slapped. And so we immediately would just like tuck our hands behind our backs, whatever. But like I remember seeing people getting spanked in public.
Yeah,
Because it was just totally
grandparents.
normal to
Mhm.
be like, all right, you're acting a fool. Here you come, gonna get a whooping.
Yeah.
I got spanked growing up with a leather belt,
Ooh.
with a wooden spoon, with a plastic spatula.
Wait, are all these things combined at the same time?
No.
I'm trying to think what type
I'm
of
just
like
thinking,
cat
like,
of nine tail
Over the
monstrosity.
years,
I'm picturing like a belt, and at the very end of it, they've taped like a spoon and like just knickknacks that they could just really like wind up and
whoop-a-choo. No. All of those implements were just like on their own. I definitely got smacked around with like hands. I don't know if I really earned it or not because it's like kind of a blur. I think I also, when we got too old to be spanked, we got sauced, which was like a totally
sauce.
revolutionary like punishment at the time. In the 90s, you would sauce your kids by giving them a spoonful of like very, very spicy hot sauce.
I've never
Or
heard
I
of
would
that.
you
love
would make your
that.
kid eat soap.
Mel, you love the
or
hot sauce.
You
Yeah.
Like a fun
would,
challenge.
or you would have to have a big spoonful of vinegar. And so I
Yikes.
definitely know that I ate soap and I had to ingest spoonfuls of vinegar for
Ooh.
disobedience.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
was it apple cider vinegar? Because
It
that's
was not. It
probably
was
good
like
for you.
white vinegar.
Ooh, spicy.
And I'll tell you, it goes down a little bit like when you're sick, you know? Like
Oh.
that. It leaves that kind of a burny,
Yeah.
kind of like sour taste.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to have drinks afterwards. So it could just kind of linger.
You just gotta own it. But the soap and
The
the hot
soap.
sauce, so they would
Yeah.
mix it up.
It was like mixed up. And I think really we just didn't have hot sauce in our house, but we had white vinegar. So that's where the vinegar ended up being because it's not physically going to harm you. It just tastes
Yeah,
bad.
it's probably yeah, it's unpleasant more than it is
Correct. And so I think
painful.
if I was going to choose, I feel like I would rather just have vinegar than getting hit. But
Yeah.
I mean, it
I
is
don't-
what it is.
Yeah, and also with parenting, the leash. Did you ever see the leashes? Because I was leashed up. At,
I
like,
was never leashed. And
not,
I don't.
not in day to day, but I remember going to like
Well, you go to a very
amusement park
crowded
yes,
place.
I had the band and
It's
the
like
leash.
cute little backpack. No, I do remember my parents like making fun of leashed kids and that choice, but I can totally see why people do it.
Man, people
as a
treated
parent-
children in the 90s kind of like dogs.
Oh,
You leashed them up, you'd spank
Leashed
them,
them, hit
rub their nose
them.
in it if they go in the bath.
Totally.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
parenting has shifted quite a bit. I would also, if I had to explain the biggest difference to get back to your question, Mel, we kind of went on tangent as we do. To answer your question, I would say the biggest difference that I've seen is the freedom that children had
Yes.
to just be loose and explore. I just remember running
It would be like come in
throughout
when
my
the lights go
neighborhood.
on.
Yeah, and it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody would. Yeah, when the lights come on, when the sun goes down, every
Right.
now and then
You
I
gotta
hear
come in the
mom
house.
shout.
Mhm.
But I remember being in the woods. I'd be down by the lake reservoir fishing, just
Totally.
hours.
We would
And
be out in the woods at my house, and our friend's mom, she had a big triangle bell. She'd ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, and we could hear that really loud. And our mom could whistle really, really loud. So all of the kids in the neighborhood knew the different calls that the moms would make.
Yeah,
And we would just come running and we'd be like, oh, I heard the whistle. We got to go. You
Yeah,
know, but we would just be outside
And
all day long.
I don't know that we were actually any safer back then
know.
than kids are now, but there was just a lot more freedom, and I don't know how to do that as a parent. Like we're definitely much more of like the helicopter, like safety,
Right.
worried when our
Well,
kids are just out and about.
Like, for instance, when I was Mel's age, I would be riding my bike across town to hang out with friends or to like go to a babysitting job. But I think the roads were safer when we were kids because people didn't have cell phones
Mhm.
and they didn't have computer screens on their cars to distract them. So I feel like all you really had to do was like the radio, and your
Yeah.
tape decks, and maybe a CD player in your car.
Mhm.
But nowadays, I think with driving with cell phones and distracted drivers, I just wouldn't want her riding a bike around town, crossing streets all the time.
Hmm.
Fun
It
fact
gives me a lot of
to the
pause.
viewers, I still can't ride a bike.
We've tried to teach her.
Well, it's just maybe not your thing yet. We
That's
could
not
try
your-
this
yeah.
summer.
Don't give up on
But
yourself.
Yeah.
Exploring is one thing that I desperately wish that I could do today.
I think every kid does. And,
love it.
And I think it's a fine line of knowing. It's also where. Like, if you live out in the middle of the country, letting your kids go run through the woods a little bit feels different than if you're in like
Yeah.
a super urban downtown of a
Mhm.
large city and your kids just run wherever. So I think you just have to.
We lived in rural areas,
Yes,
you and I. So
rural. What a fun word to say.
yeah,
And then seatbelts were different. There was no like the car
Right.
seat thing
double buckling.
until your kid is like 8 years old is in a car seat. Like that wasn't a thing. I
No.
remember being really, really little in the 80s. I mean, I think seatbelts really ramped up in the 90s, but I remember in the 80s being in the back of my grandmother's like big blue Buick and just
Right.
kind of floating around in the back. Like there was
Oh,
no
yeah.
seatbelts. There was no car. There was definitely no like little baby. I'm probably like an infant seat, but
Yeah.
when you're like a toddler, there's none of
We-
these.
We took whole road trips with my cousins, and one year when we did it, I remember that they took the middle seat out of their van and put a giant air mattress in, and so we would just like play Nintendo and lay out on the air mattress while we were driving.
Yeah.
And you don't get cars anymore, like the station wagons with the back seat facing.
Yeah, it's always a
that
weird
was
thing.
so much fun.
Yeah, when
We
you're
rode in
behind one of those and there's just a small child just staring at you
right?
because they're facing the back,
Yeah.
that's a weird vibe and a
But
weird
I
look.
think speaking of parenting, and you brought up a really good point when you're at like an amusement park and you think, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have so much fun. But really, like vacationing with kids is just like expensive parenting
Mhm.
because now you're not at your home. So you're paying for somewhere else to stay with your kids. You're paying for other places to eat with your kids. And you're paying for places to go with the kids. But you're all the same people. You have all the same annoyances and
Mhm.
grievances and issues with each other. So it's just like expensive parenting somewhere else. And it can be worth it and it can be fun.
Yeah, and kids have no
Yeah.
like understanding of money.
They have
Of
no
money
understanding.
spent. Yeah, just yesterday I took little Mina, little precious tiny Mina, to get some new shoes. And of course, I didn't just get one pair. I had to get a second pair because she
Always.
got excited. So I got 2 pairs of shoes. And then the 2 pairs of shoes was not enough. She found some like low cut Nike socks that she wanted that match her high crew. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, well, Dad, my second pair was Crocs. So I need to get these little jewel bedazzled things.
Gibbets.
Whatever. She's like, Dad, you don't know what a gibbet is? I'm like, I've never heard of
Oh,
that
she
word.
roasted you so hard when
Yeah.
I got home.
Oh, I know.
Dad doesn't even know what gibbets
Yeah,
are.
she's like, talk to the hand, not to the face. Like,
Whatever.
Whatever, gibbets. So had to get her little gibbets. So I got a full pack of gibbets for these new. So again, I'm pretty deep into this. What I thought was just going to be one
a pair of shoes.
Walking to the car, right? And man, it feels so great to be able to like bless your kid and
Yeah.
get them some nice stuff. So I'm feeling really great. And then from leaving the store to the car, a short walk, she went from very happy to saying, you know what? I should have got more gibbets. I don't think I got enough gibbets. Why didn't I get another pack of gibbets? By the time we got to the car, she goes, this is the worst day ever.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to go, whoa, buddy, time out. And I
Mhm.
had to kind of rewind all the things that she got and how excited she was. And then just have a nice little talk. But the same, that right there happens when you're at Disney. Just the little kids have no
Exactly.
comprehension that this is a $10,000 fun, joyous experience. And they'll just complain about everything because they just don't have a reference. And in fairness, neither did we when we were little.
No, we didn't have any reference. And it's like, I think when you go to a family vacation, because it's kind of like the season, like everybody is planning their family vacations, or maybe they've already started with the summer. I've just learned just go with like less of an expectation of like, it's going to be perfect.
Mhm.
It's just going to be us somewhere else, just being our regular selves, you know? And I think
Yeah.
people get all worked up into like making the most of every moment. And I think you have to just take a breath, step
Mhm.
back, and then also think about planning yourself an adults only trip for the
That's where it's
relaxing.
at. Yeah, people
know?
people poke fun of Disney adults. I'm not a Disney adult, but I would totally go to Disney, just you and I. Like
Oh, yeah.
after like I went there as a kid with my parents, probably super ungrateful, probably got spankings that I deserved.
I think that there are some real sassy photos of you at Disney.
So sassy.
Like
yep.
that.
And we've been with the family,
Mhm.
like my parents and the kids. I would love a Disney adult, especially like, is it Epcot? That has like
Yes,
the world food
Epcot.
tour. Would be so much
We would
fun as
just
an
eat our
adult.
way through Epcot.
We need to
I
make
would
it happen.
totally do
And
that.
man, the bitterness in our children, if they knew that we took a Disney, they might have to be like in college. Even then they'd be like, "You're not taking me?
Right?
I'm 20 years old. You better take me to Disney."
This
But
is the
it would
worst
be
day
fun
ever.
to experience. Man, we need to plan a trip because that sounds like a lot of
Doesn't that
fun.
sound like a lot
Mhm.
of fun?
But Melody, great topic, and I think there's a lot more that we could say, but that's a great topic.
Can we go into how Mina roasts you so hard though?
So
Because
bad.
the other day I heard she roasted you bad for your bedtime storytelling,
Yes.
which has kind of become, with your oldest kid, this famous special bedtime story technique. And you tried it on someone else, and I think it didn't go over the same.
Nope, she's not. She also roasted me mid heaving into a bowl, getting sick.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it because she was like laughing at me and roasting me. And I had her popcorn puke bowl, and I like look over at her right as she's about to heave, and she was just like, "What are you looking at?" Or she said something. Just I can't remember. It was something like that. I was like, "Are you roasting me?" And then went to throw up. I'm like, "Come on, girl."
She's hardcore.
She is. She'll bust your chops on anything. You cannot. Nothing gets past her too. If you
No.
trip over your words or like twist a word, she could be on her iPad talking to
She's a
some friends,
shark.
playing Minecraft. She's like,
Mhm.
caught it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. She does not mess around. She's been that way since she's been like 3 or 4.
Since the moment she could talk, she was sassy, comedic,
Yeah,
amazing, gonna get you.
she's very funny. We had like a bunch of family over Memorial Day weekend, and I watched her. She found this little cane, and everyone
Oh
was
my
eating,
gosh.
and she just had to walk in like she was old and frail, and like she just has to put on a show.
She really does. She's an entertainer.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a lot of time left, but we started a conversation that I was like, "Hey, this feels podcast worthy. We should finish it on the podcast." And it's a question for you.
Okay.
So, lady, I'd love to hear, how in the world, or when is it appropriate to give a lady a compliment? Like what's acceptable to say something nice, especially when it comes to, and I'm guessing the answer is never, especially when it comes to if a lady, you could tell, really put in a lot of work and got really like lost a bunch of weight, got really
Right.
fit, and it's clear. It's not like a little bit. It's like they probably worked really hard. And I'm asking because when a guy does that, it's super appropriate and almost expected that your buddies, like if you've been in the gym, if you've lost some weight, like guys will say that,
Mhm.
"Dude, you're looking trim, bro. You're looking great. You've been in the gym. Like, what's your diet plan? What are you eating?"
Right.
Like those are fun things that guys like kind of encourage each other with. But I never know how to compliment a
Mm.
lady almost ever, unless it's you, my kids, or maybe my mom. Like I don't say anything. What's acceptable?
I mean, it's so tricky. You're not wrong. It's very, very tricky. I think that I don't comment on that a lot, just personally. I'll tell someone, "Hey, you look really good today," or, "Oh, I love this outfit." But if somebody's like lost a lot of weight, unless they've in conversation with me have said like, "I'm trying to lose weight," or, "I started this new thing," or whatever,
Mm,
and I know that this is like intentional or something they're working on, I really tend not to comment
okay.
because people can lose weight for all kinds of reasons. And sometimes those reasons are stress. Sometimes those reasons are illness. Sometimes those reasons are just kind of complicated.
Mm.
Or maybe like their weight changed. Maybe they gained weight for a complicated reason.
Don't want to bring that up.
And you just like, you just don't know. And it kind of feels to me like addressing someone who might be pregnant / you don't know,
Which
they haven't
you
made
can-
an
you
announcement.
cannot
Like
do
you just
ever.
don't do
So
it.
I know that.
So I
Yeah.
just like telling people, I say something really positive like, "Hey, you look great today."
So you keep it really general.
I keep it
You
so
look nice.
general
You're
and
looking
pay
great.
like a nice compliment, but
Okay.
I don't comment on weight. And I know that is different. Like I have friends who will be like, "Girl, how much weight have you lost?" And they'll just say it right out there and throw it out.
Mhm.
And maybe people like that. It's just not my personality to say that.
People do it to guys. People, you know what I mean?
But I know,
they'll
but
say
men
it
are
all
so
the time.
different. Also, I think because of like men can lose weight differently than women do.
Maybe. I
know?
think it's also validation. Like I feel like I'm withholding. Like if I see a lady who lost, I don't know, just 50 pounds and like their arms look strong. It's like, I can't imagine the hard work and dedication, and for no one to say, attaboy, well done,
Right.
good job. It feels like you're withholding, because again, if a guy did that, like, I'm giving him what he deserves. Like, I could tell it's not easy to eat right. It's not easy to go
It
to the gym.
isn't.
It's not easy to run a marathon.
Mhm.
So I think having people be like, hey, it looks like you've put in a lot of work. Like, way to go. That's
I
encouraging,
love
inspiring.
celebrating people, and I love celebrating them in the efforts that they're putting into their life,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Could be going back to school, could be trying out for a new job.
hmm
If they lose weight because like that's a goal of theirs, and I know that, I will definitely encourage them in that. But I think it's kind of a fine line, because I've heard so many of my friends who have lost significant amount of weight and then said that people treated them different after.
Okay.
And so I just want to always make sure that my friends knew as well that like you're the same person to me, and I'm
Yes.
celebrating you in this next part of your life, but I wouldn't want them to feel like they're more valuable now because they've lost weight,
hmm
you know?
Yeah. The only thing that I say to ladies that has always felt safe is if they get a haircut, I'm like, oh, did you do something different with the hair? That looks nice. I'll say that. They love that.
That always is a great one.
And then I'll comment either on shoes or a handbag
Oh yeah.
of just like, hey, that's a cool handbag. Oh,
Well-
thank you very much.
And the thing about shoes and a handbag is like they always fit.
Yeah.
No matter what your body looks like,
Yeah.
that week or that month,
Yeah.
your shoes and your handbag
So
will always fit.
I like to encourage people, and I like to make people feel nice. So I do
Yeah.
it as much as I can, especially little old ladies. That's my favorite. If they're, you know what I mean? If they have
Yeah.
like a really nice dress or something of like, you look
Mhm.
so lovely today. But that's about as far as I go. So I just wanted to hear from a lady is like, is that okay? Or are women running around feeling like, man, I'm putting in all this work and like no one ever says anything nice at all? Because as a guy, you don't want to be weird or creepy. So that's why you're
Mhm.
like, I'm just not going to say anything. But then at times I feel like, man, if am I withholding saying something nice that they would like to hear?
Right.
But typically I just say nothing.
You can always do something like, man, something seems different about you. I feel like that's a general open the door.
So everything that you said it has to be vague and
Yeah,
general.
I think it's vague and general. That's the
compliments.
rule.
Okay.
I think that's the
That's
rule
helpful.
that I live by.
Yeah.
Unless someone comes in and they have a totally different hair color or hair shape / style, or maybe they've fully changed like the way they dress and it's like a dramatic change, then address it dramatic. Like I like straightforward,
I
but
don't know. We need a rule book on this stuff. I can't keep up.
I don't know, because you know what? People just get offended by every little thing and take things wrongly. So that's why I try to keep it really general.
Yeah. All right. So I'm not going to talk to anybody, but we're out of time.
Yeah.
So we've got to get going.
I got to get going too. I have a lot to do today.
All right.
I love you.
Well,
I've never said that to you on the podcast before.
you love me or I
Yeah.
love ya?
Love you.
You've totally said that before.
Not on the podcast.
I mean, if somebody can find it. You've said it.
Well, listen, I got to go. So late.
Audi 5000.